From the Ben Pixel Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Phone Booth Fighting, a weekly podcast covering the world of mixed martial arts and so far beyond, with myself, Richard Hunter, and this guy.
I'm Frank Mir.
He's the two-time UFC heavyweight champion. He's a current Bellator fighting championship contender, and a couple of years in, he's quite the accomplished podcast host as well. All right, speaking of that, let's get a little business.
And now manager.
That's right. We got to talk about that. We got to talk. Frank, I tell you what, like most marriages,
I'm doing pro wrestling. I'm doing management, commentary, fighting.
Like most marriages, Frank surprises me with news. He doesn't come home and tell me things about his day, and I have to find out about them through casual conversation with others.
You had this conversation with Jennifer.
Yeah,
my own wife will be like,
"Wait
a minute, you're doing this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." You don't think you want to fucking tell me? I'm all. Yeah. I talk a lot in my own head, and I forget that I'm not talking to other people.
Yeah. You know what? My Jennifer and I have this same conversation, but the other way around, because she will not, kind of the same thing. She will not tell me things that she thinks she has told me, and I always know that's going to be the case, because when I take the position of your wife and be like, hey, why didn't you let me know about that? You know, it always starts with, well, in my head. And then she proceeds to say, in my head, I understand. We had the conversation. I thought we had. Understand. Yeah. I've always wondered, too. We're both only children. I know you guys aren't, you and Jennifer, but I've always wondered if that was a little bit of it, too. Because I do know from being an only child, you do have a lot of conversations in your head.
I was a loner my whole life growing up. If it wasn't for Jennifer, I never would have left the house.
You were an honorary only child.
Yeah. I mean, like even now, I think it's been probably close to 10 years since I've spoken to my sister. My brother and I have texted probably twice in the last 7 years to each other.
God, that is amazing. Yeah. That is crazy.
But that's why I started noticing little traits that I have.
Yeah.
Like, Jen did a good job of pointing that out. She goes, you realize you sit in the car for like an hour.
Yeah.
And we're driving and you don't say a fucking word.
Yeah.
And like, I'll be like, dude, like if you could see inside my brain right now, like there's fucking orchestras going off. There's these two guys over here debating about fucking theology. I'm discovering fight moves over here. I'm running experiments on my diet over here. Like, I mean, like there's a lot of noise going on here, man. And then like, so I've actually sat there and realized I've given that trait to my children.
Yeah.
We'll drive, like me and Bella, because I drop her every morning off at the school. There's times now where I'm like, so how's everything? Like to start a conversation with her, you know, because we both just sit there and stare and just, I know that their brains are just flying like mine is, but we're just not communicating.
Sometimes you should maybe attempt to do a rough sketch of that circus in your head. You know, if you, I don't know if you're much of an artiste, but even with stick figures, that'd be okay. I would just be curious to see what that 3-ring circus would look like.
I'll do like a South Park type thing. I'll just cut out some.
Yeah, like a mosaic. That would be interesting to see. All right, big breaking news today, Frank, out of the world of MMA and UFC. TJ Dillashaw, the latest to get zapped by USADA. He came out with his own statement. He said that he basically wanted to be the first to let everybody know that there had been an occurrence with USADA, and that he, before he even goes through all of the hearing and the proceeding or whatever, he is voluntarily relinquishing his bantamweight title so as not to gum up the works in the division. And my understanding is that this could carry a 1-year suspension for a first-time offense. I mean, we're getting kind of used to this happening now, Frank, with, you know, fighters getting flagged by USADA, and I guess we'll wait to see what the details of it are. But first thoughts upon hearing this news.
Well, look, man, I don't think he's a cheater. I mean, there's just no way that the guy, knowing that they're getting multiple tests coming up, is going to take that type of risk, especially with the success that he's had being natural, passing these drug tests. I think it goes back to this. USADA is just trying to justify their own existence because there's really not that many cheaters left, if any, in the UFC because of the stringent drug testing. I feel that now they're finding micro, metabolites. And I think really he's probably a victim of cutting a lot of weight. So who knows what supplements he took before they came in. I mean, like I tell people before, 3 or 4 years ago, there was a list of supplements you stay away from. Like, okay, I know I can't take androstenedione. That's like a big time testosterone precursor type thing. But I mean, there was a lot of supplements out there that were kind of gray area. Like, well, is it bad? Is it not bad? And now those are in someone's system. And I think what's happening with him is kind of the same thing I think with John is when you're cutting weight or getting close to a fight. Myself with Mark Hunt, because I was getting leaner as the fight was going on, as just natural training as a fat heavyweight. But Dillashaw dropped down a weight class in his last fight. He goes down another 10 pounds. I'm sure his body burnt through things that were dormant for years. And that's my issue with the testing is that I get it that you don't want a cheater. I don't want to fight a guy that has a huge fucking advantage over me because he stuck a needle in his ass. I'm all for that too. But that's not who they're catching. They're catching guys that are taking tainted supplements from years before that are in their system, like a John Jones type, and now it looks like a TJ Dillashaw, where it's like, it's bullshit. Like, really? I mean, was he cheating? These little tiny adverse findings? I'm like, are we stopping cheaters or are we just fucking with people's careers?
Yeah, I guess it'll remain to be seen exactly, what the equation amounted to with Dillashaw. Of course, fought most recently at UFC Brooklyn back in January when he was defeated by Henry Cejudo, but that didn't affect his bantamweight title. Now, the New York State Athletic Commission has suspended him for a year. So I guess that has happened. But USADA, I mean, that first-time offense is 2 years, as you know all too well. So,
well, it depends on what the adverse finding is.
Okay.
If it's an estrogen-type blocker, like what Brock Lesnar had in his system, like a Clomid, that is a 1 year first-time offense.
Okay.
That's why John Jones, too, his first-time offense when he got busted was when he was taking the dick pills, is they had put, some kind of fucking estrogen block in there, which I guess helps you fucking get a hard on. I haven't really studied the science just yet. I'm still okay.
Yeah, that's what a friend told you.
Yeah. I'm okay. Mrs. Mir isn't complaining anytime soon. In fact, it's probably the only thing that saves my ass half the time.
Yeah.
But that's why he had a first-time offense in that category. 1 year first time, 2 years second time. But then if you take an actual anabolic, that's where it's the 2 and the 4.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if it's potentially a 2 year. I mean, they haven't really revealed what the findings are.
Yeah, it could be potentially a 2 year because it's his first offense.
Yeah.
Or 1 year, again, if it's some kind of, I think, we could probably look it up. I don't know if cutting agents fall under the 1 or the 2 year. So if he took some kind of diuretic to try to pee out the extra weight, which, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't see Dillashaw making that kind of mistake. But if he were to take something, like, I guess that would make more sense. A guy who's, cutting down an extra weight class. And it might not even be something that he took illegally where he, got it in the back of a gym. It could have been just supplements that he felt that, like, will help him, I know Mrs. Mir takes what are the sunset pills, where if she, has a really salty meal and we know we're going to the beach the next day, you buy them at Walmart, you know what I mean? And Walgreens, like all these different herbs that you take and like, helps you, it's kind of like eating asparagus, makes you pee more. But I mean, USADA is so crazy with everything. Who knows if he took something that is what's the word I'm looking for? Innocuous or
innocuous?
Innocuous as that.
Yeah.
Does that word fit there?
You're looking for, you mean like harmless?
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
There we go. And
innocuous. You were close.
I was close.
Yeah.
Shit. Fucking drummer needs to shut up right now. And so it could have been along those categories where it's just something that he took to help cut the extra water weight and perceiving it to be a legal substance. We have all kinds of stuff at the GNC that everybody has access to, but not necessarily if you're under the UFC roster being tested by USADA.
This is making the rounds in light of this. Back at UFC 217, I didn't even remember this, but at the pre-fight press conference for the Garbrandt-Dillashaw fight, this was in 2017, Cody Garbrandt claimed that all the alpha male guys were on illegal substances. His quote was, "Oh yeah, the guy," meaning TJ, "the guy's on everything. He's on everything. You're the one," meaning Dillashaw, "that showed everyone how to do it on Team Alpha Male. Look at him. He has nothing to say." I didn't remember this.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, but you know how those press conferences go. They're yelling at each other, and I think it might have all. I don't know if they were the only ones on the stage. You know
what? It just still blows my mind that maybe this is from ignorance, but I keep studying it because obviously it's affected my life. But in other sports, when they sit there and go, so-and-so took juice, like, for example, like the whole Sammy Sosa and
Mark McGuire.
Mm-hmm. You see pictures of them, and you're like, no shit. Mm-hmm. His forearm is like 19 inches around. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay. But then you tell me, look, TJ Dillashaw is a drug abuser. I'm all, the little pipsqueak? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter. Great strategy, great technique. He has a six-pack, but I mean, if he took his shirt off at the gym and said he was going to enter a bodybuilding contest, I'd laugh at him. I'm like, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. What the hell? Try again, let's pick over,
Yeah. Well, not the first, won't be the last, just the latest story in that. I think if anything else, we've come to learn to look at these things a little more carefully than we have in the past. So let's see what comes of it. But what it does mean is that for the foreseeable future, we will not be seeing TJ Dillashaw in action. Let's move to the other big news that the UFC made this week, announcing that ESPN Plus is going to be their exclusive provider for pay-per-views.
How does that work?
Okay, here's how this works. We've got. Can you bring your mic down just a little bit, Mikey? Are you up here? The way it's going to work is this. First of all, ESPN Plus is the $5 a month app that the UFC partnered up with basically at the beginning of this year. They've transitioned away from Fox. They're now doing deal. They're now with ESPN until I think the deal goes all the way to 2025 now because of this latest twist with this. But the way it's going to work is this. You have to. The only way you're going to be able to watch a UFC pay-per-view. Now, this doesn't count if you go to a bar, they'll still be able to order it. It also doesn't count overseas. But if you are in the United States and you're wanting to watch UFC in your home, you will have to have the ESPN Plus app. You'll have to be a subscriber. So you have to basically ante up $5 a month before you can even buy a UFC pay-per-view. That's step one. So now that you have the $5 a month membership, now you will be able to buy UFC pay-per-views, but you will only watch them through the ESPN Plus app. Now,
and you're still paying your $10 or $9.99. $9.99 for
$4.99.
$4.99 for UFC. Unleashed.
Okay, Fight Pass. Now, I'm going to get to that in a second. This has nothing to do with Fight Pass. You won't be able to get the pay-per-view on Fight Pass. What's showing on ESPN Plus now, these don't show on Fight Pass, these live cards. These are just ESPN cards.
And then there's certain cards that you have to have cable for still.
No.
So
that's
between
done.
the two, you can.
Aren't some of the prelims on regular ESPN?
Well, yeah, that's true. You would have to have. I'm sorry, I take that back. Yes, you would have to have regular ESPN for prelims.
Platforms going essentially. Mm-hmm. If I want to watch a card from beginning to end.
Yeah, you'd have to have for the pay-per-view cards. You'd have to have pay-per-view. You'd have to have ESPN Plus, and if ESPN is going to factor into that anywhere, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You'd have to have that. Okay, so then the pay-per-views.
Sounds like a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah, the pay-per-views are going to go down, I believe, about $5 off of where they've been at before on average. The question I have, I'll give you a little.
They're not going to stay there though.
Well, I'll give you a little hack on this if you want to save a little money. Honestly, when I buy them, I buy the standard definition because when I stream online. Now, I want HD if I'm watching it on my big television, but I got to be honest, I can't tell a huge difference. And usually those are, I think, $10 less. You could actually do that through Fight Pass. I don't know if that's going to be an option or not with the new one. But, yeah, you're going to have to – and it's been real weird. It's been hard for me to cull together all the information because I got a press release from the UFC that said that this was the new partnership, but it didn't explain that you had to have the ESPN Plus membership. I found that out subsequently through other media coverage because these are the questions we're all asking. And then the question that I'm still asking that I really haven't seen a satisfactory answer to, and this is the first thing you thought of, Frank, what does this mean for Fight Pass? Because Fight Pass is twice the cost. It's $10 a month. And when you first got it, what you were getting on Fight Pass was, of course, all of the catalog, the library, all the fights. You were getting some live cards. Some of the cards, like the kind of the third tier cards, were just all on Fight Pass. And then on the second tier and sometimes even pay-per-view cards, the early prelims would be streamed on Fight Pass as well. Well, all of that, it saved the library. All the live stuff seems to have now gone to the ESPN Plus app. So if I ask the question, okay, UFC, tell me why I should still pay twice as much, $10 a month, for UFC Fight Pass, other than the archives. Well, they're also going to point to, they've got a bunch of like, other organizations.
Yeah, like Eddie's show.
Yeah, the jiu-jitsu tournaments, other smaller MMA promotions. They are streaming a bunch of that live, and sure, if you're hardcore, you're going to get that. And, look, I mean, we do this professionally, so I'm always going to have that. I mean, if nothing else, Fight Pass is a great resource to, if you're going to, break down a fight that's coming up on the weekend, you'll want to watch some back fights. You've used it to scout opponents and things like that, but we're in the vast minority with that. The average person who's going to get together and watch a pay-per-view on Saturday isn't analyzing on Monday and Tuesday.
No.
So, but it's so strange because it's just not being addressed. It's not in the press release. I haven't, the direct interviews that I've heard Dana White do, although maybe I haven't heard all of them, I haven't heard him mention it. There's just no explanation for it, and it's weird. It's just because the UFC with Fight Pass, which I'm a big proponent of, I thought that the real value in that was that they weren't having to deal with anybody else, that it's we own, we've got control over everything, no partner needed on this. And they kind of had that going. And I understand they're always going to have a Fox deal or an ESPN deal, but it's weird, it feels weird anyway to me, that they have put so many of their chips in with ESPN to the point that it feels a little bit like Fight Pass is just kind of adrift.
Yeah. Well, obviously, probably ESPN wanted a piece of, because they're doing the online apps, and UFC, part of their contract for them to get paid was, offer something on the table to ESPN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The pay-per-views, by the way, I was right. It'll be down to $60, which is down from the current price of $65. So
that's how much a pay-per-view costs now?
Yeah. So I guess their thought is
Holy shit.
Yeah, I guess their thought is going to be, okay, yeah, you're paying the $5 for the monthly subscription as the price of admission, but then we're knocking $5 off the
I use
top.
it as a tax write-off, but I got to start looking at the fight. I don't ever pay attention to shit when I buy it,
Yeah.
Jen all the time, she goes, you ordered these. I'm like, yeah. She goes, did you want to fucking tell me how? I'm like, I didn't know how much it cost. I wanted them.
Yeah. There's also, there's going to be a package offer where you can, for $80, they'll give you 1 year of ESPN and throw in one pay-per-view. So it's kind of like you're getting the $30 knocked off of what the normal cost of a pay-per-view would be. So you're saving a little money there. Now, how about this question? This is one that would directly affect you, Frank. What does it mean for fighters who have pay-per-view points? How is that going to impact them? Because it would seem like just the fact that you're going to tell everybody, okay, there's only one portal to get this thing anymore. That means it's because you think about the number of people. There's got to be a lot of people who order it because it pops up in an ad on their DirecTV or their Cox Cable or whatever, I would think. What do you think, Mikey?
Well, we stream it for free. Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen is especially like once.
Are you admitting to a crime?
Yeah,
right now.
I stream it. I'm not paying $65 for that. Especially like I think the last one we bought.
This is going to mean subpoenas for us, Frank.
Well. I didn't hear what.
Well, yeah. And it's what happened to us in the adult world is like once people get used to free is the standard, you're gonna have a hard time like getting people to pay.
Porno Mikey, aren't you the guy who was fussing at this guy about 9 months ago for not paying for his porn?
If Dana shows me his, if they want to show me their Naughty America subscription, I'll start paying for pay-per-view. Until then, it's payback. I'm streaming this stuff for free.
Well, and actually, I remember when the SOPA Act came out, right? Mm-hmm. And Dana was backing it, and he pissed off fucking Anonymous, and they fucking posted his fucking house address and like layouts and credit card numbers. Like, you don't fuck with people that are good with computers. You know what I mean? Unless you're good with a computer, you know what I mean? Like, no, pick your battles. You know what I mean? So, one of the arguments I was actually reading on the internet was saying, hey, chill out on the fucking worrying about people streaming shit. They're not really robbing you, because it actually shows that somebody like yourself that would stream a $50 pay-per-view at the time. That's what the price was when I was having this discussion. They actually on end spend $200 more than the guy that does buy the pay-per-view. So it's like, because they're a hardcore fan, they're buying merchandise and they're doing things. They're just being able to transfer that money in a different direction. But it's still, at the end of the day, the bottom dollar, it comes to you as the UFC.
Well, the thing is, if it was a card we really liked, Amanda and I would buy it on DirecTV, because we didn't want to trust our internet just in case like something messed up. The main event, we're buffering. Yeah. But now if we have to stream it anyway, I don't see any reason why we pay for it. I think anyone under 35 knows how to stream it. They're just going to, what's the difference? You're streaming it anyway. Yeah.
Well, knowing the UFC, they're going to fuck over the fighters. Yeah. But if I was a fighter with the UFC, or a manager with a UFC fighter, I would ask at this point, be like, all right, cool. So in the past, when England watched a pay-per-view, they didn't have to pay for it. So my pay-per-view numbers only came from North American buys, right? Were you aware of that?
I think I did know that.
BT Sport or something like
that.
Yeah.
So they get it for free. Okay. Right? But now, since they're not going to be playing it on that, or are they? Are those guys also paying to fucking watch it on an app?
No. This only affects the United States.
Oh, yeah. See? So fighters are going to take a hit.
Yeah, see,
because it's going to take a while for people, like everything else.
Yeah.
Nothing's overnight. So the transition from people being able to just go on Cox here on the West Coast and click on a show to now having a downloaded app and do it that way. Not that people won't, but it's going to take a little bit more. And I'm sure it's going to be a dip. If I was a fighter, I'd want to probably wait 6 months before I went on a pay-per-view card.
As someone who only, who subscribes to ESPN Plus and is only purchasing it for MMA fights, so I'm not interested in any of the other sports they have on there. It's a $5. It's a good value for $5 a month. I'm happy right now with the $5 a month, because more weekends than not, I'm getting a live UFC card. They've got some other original programming on there. Our buddy Chael Sonnen has his show with Ariel Helwani that he does now, Ariel and the Bad Guy. You can watch that. So it's got good stuff on it. But the other thing that I'm hearing is that more and more of the library stuff is going over there as well. So again, I wonder if they're going to cannibalize Fight Pass in that way as well. It may not go all the way back to UFC 1, but if there's going to be that much stuff on it, it's going to be interesting over the next couple of months from my standpoint, just to monitor. I think what I'm going to do is a little experiment. And so normally, where I'm researching, whatever fight's taking place the next weekend or whatever, I think I might start out by just going to ESPN Plus first and seeing what I could find. Like, we got Anthony Pettis and Wonderboy Thompson. I don't think neither one of those guys have fought since the ESPN Plus deal went live, but I think I'm going to go on there and see how much archive stuff I can find of those guys and see, can I prep for a fight that's going to take place without going on Fight Pass now? I don't know. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see what happens. It's just, obviously the money has to make complete sense. It's a huge blockbuster deal. I don't think that the UFC is harming itself somehow by doing this. I wouldn't have as many questions if they would just say up front, okay, here's what it means to Fight Pass. Here's the plan. We're going to scale that down. We're going to knock it down to $5 a month too, or we're going to put a package together and you get both of them for $10 or something like that. Maybe so.
I just think they're just trying to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
See what the response is with everybody back at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of ESPN Plus, there will be a live card from Nashville this weekend, and you got to have the app for that because, as I mentioned, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is going to be fighting Anthony Pettis. Now, this is going to take place at welterweight. So Pettis is going to go up and fight at welterweight. I guess maybe he'll see how this goes. I don't know if this is something that he plans on sticking around for or anything like that. Get your thoughts on the fight, Frank, because the first thing that comes to my mind is exciting in the sense that, I mean, you could have you could conceivably have an exciting stand-up fight. I think both these guys are dynamic fighters, but Thompson is a real unique style to navigate. And, over the last couple of years with Pettis, it does seem like fight to fight, you kind of have to wonder what's going on with him a little bit. It seems like this could either be a really good night for him or a really bad one, and maybe not much in between.
Yeah. When Pettis had done the Ultimate Fighter and won the lightweight championship, he literally looked, damn near unstoppable. I think he easily was in the top 10 pound for pound during that discussion. But then, he's had a slump of ups and downs, and a few more downs than ups lately in his career. He's looked better of late. In fact, I think in his last fight, I didn't think he was going to do well, and he actually performed extremely well. That being said, moving up against a weight class against a taller kickboxer who is probably one of the best strikers that there is in the UFC. I mean, he's up there. I mean, arguably in the top, easily in the top 5. And so, he has a hell of a chin in Wonder Boy. I mean, he's been caught by Woodley and dropped and was able to recover even through a choke. I think that, it's not an easy fight for Pettis. I really think it'll be more or less, Thompson's fight to lose.
Thompson is coming off a loss to Darren Till this past May, and Pettis is coming off a loss to Tony Ferguson this past October. So,
what was the fight before that one, though?
You talking about Pettis?
Yeah.
That was a submission win over Michael Chiesa. That's where he looked awesome.
That's the fight. Okay, I remember that fight. Even I was kind of not pulling for him. I'm like, well, shit, And then he looked really great.
Yeah. He's had a weird, if you look at his past, it's like win-loss, 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 win. You have to go all the way back to
before, when he had the belt.
He had exactly. He hit that losing streak in.
It was on 4.
It was 3. Started March of 2015 with Rafael dos Anjos, then to Eddie Alvarez, then to Edson Barbosa. Those were all decisions. 3 straight losses, and that's when he started alternating the win-losses. Win over Oliveira, lost to Holloway, win over Jim Miller, lost to Dustin Poirier, win over Chiesa, and then the loss to Tony Ferguson. All right, I mentioned Darren Till and Tony Ferguson. There's a couple of people we got to talk about real quick who were making news for opposite sides of the spectrum this past week. First of all, Jorge Masvidal knocks Darren Till out cold. Incredible knockout. I
didn't call that right.
Yeah, incredible knockout. I didn't think it was going to end that way either. If that, I didn't see that as necessarily being Masvidal's path to victory. But an incredible knockout that in a weird way got upstaged because of what happened after the fight. I don't know if you've seen the backstage footage yet, but Jorge Masvidal is doing an interview with Laura Sanko, and Leon Edwards comes walking behind the camera. He had just won the co-main earlier that night over Gunnar Nelson. They're in the same weight class. And Leon Edwards says something to Jorge Masvidal in the form of calling him out. Masvidal walks off the interview set, goes over to where he is, approaches him. He said that Edwards had his hands up in an aggressive fashion. Might have been. I didn't really see that on the video because it was kind of dark. But Masvidal ends up throwing the first couple of punches, and then they're separated. Now, Dana White blamed his staff for that, which I get. I get that, basically fighters walking around the back, especially in heated moments, should probably have enough people around them that something like that is going to get headed off, because it's not like they pass shoulder to shoulder. I mean, there was even a few precious seconds. There was time to see that something was happening.
I agree.
But beyond that, what were your thoughts on, one, Masvidal's KO of Till, and then 2, what happened between him and Leon Edwards?
I thought Masvidal showed great heart. He got hurt in the fight and then came back and landed a vicious left. It was phenomenal. I mean, Till was out on his feet, and in fact, it was a great knockout. I didn't call it. I thought that Till, just after especially seeing Till fight Wonder Boy, I thought he'd be just too technical for Masvidal to get into that brawl. And I don't know if, the English crowd motivated Till to step in there and fight Masvidal in a way that, Masvidal's been fighting for 17 years. The guy knows how to brawl. He's, he comes back from the days of the Kimbo Slice backyard brawling, bare knuckle fights against guys that are heavyweights, And so, and as far as Leon, you know what? I just don't agree with that. There's a time to promote fights, but at the same time, because as fighters, we need each other. You want the guy you're going to fight to look good, because I want to be, I always kind of explain that to us. It's like, hey, if you're going to go out on a safari, probably not the best analogy with you, but I don't want to come back that I tagged a sickly looking lion, and you look at it, you're like, really, that's the lion you killed?
Or a canned hunt like Matt Hughes would go on.
Yeah, where, he's trapped in an area and they drop food and he came over. It's like, well, that's bullshit. Yeah. I want to go fight a lion that you're like, holy shit, you stepped up to that thing? I'm like, yes, and with only a knife. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want to be rewarded for your accomplishment of what you're facing. Yeah. So I've never been big on making my opponent not seem dangerous or not give him opportunity. Here till, Masvidal, this is his moment. He's on camera. It's a time to bring up his status. And it should have been left alone. I don't agree with going up to a guy at that moment. Now, it's your turn to grab the mic. Go ahead and call the guy out. Talk shit. Point at him if he's off camera. I'm okay with those things. But, when the other guy has the mic, I think it's a little disrespectful to go ahead and, jump on his parade. Really what it stands to me is meaning that, well, he's the big dog and you're the little dog chirping for scraps. That's the way I look at it. That's why I never wanted to be that guy, because I'm going to be like, well, shit, I'm pretty much eliminating all doubt who the A side is. You know what I mean? I'm showing that I need him, so let me go ahead and create a skirmish while he's on camera, and and he has to address it. Let me corner the guy. It's like, that's just in bad taste.
Yeah, talking about building up anticipation for something, it reminds me of what Chael always said about Vanderlei Silva, that even though Vanderlei really didn't like Chael, that he always felt like Vanderlei's biggest mistake was not understanding that they needed each other to build up this fight. Like, true. We don't have to like each other, but we're doing business together, So we have to have the animosity, but let's let it breathe enough. Basically, fan flames. Yeah. Let's don't try to extinguish a fire, even if you've got a fire extinguisher in your hand. Yeah. Let's fan the flames. Let this thing almost roar out of control, and then we'll put it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, and honestly, again, maybe this is because I'm a veteran that's done it for so long. There's a way to go about it. There's a way not to go about it. You know what I mean? There's certain things that, even in a street fight, you're fighting a guy, people have those unspoken kind of, hey, the guy's asleep, I'm not going to jump up and down on his head. Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty good etiquette, that even if the other guy was an asshole and he started the fight and I see you knock him out and I see you jumping up and down on his head, I now assume that you're an asshole and I'm probably going to whack you. You know what I mean? You went above and beyond, the call of what was required for that battle. And so I feel the same way when we're talking. That's why, I've always felt it kind of scary, or just really just toes the line when people make any kind of statements towards people's wives, towards their children. I think most people understand that. If I'm fighting some guy whose child is going through leukemia, I think most people would understand that I'm not going to bring the topic up, that, making fun of someone's cancer battling daughter is probably off the table. And if I did put it on the table, it would not be crazy for everybody to think that I'm the biggest fucking asshole around.
Yeah, you lose. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean there isn't other things that I can say to flame it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've seen it even recently, right? Tyson Fury fighting Deontay Wilder. Well, Deontay Wilder has a special needs daughter that he had back in college that he's been taking care of. Did Fury ever bring that up? Mm-hmm. Not one time. Did he poke to goad him to, say something fucked up to try to get people to, if you want to sit there and go, well, shit, people are going to, that's a soundbite. Absolutely would be a soundbite if he sat there and started making fun of another guy's special needs daughter. Mm-hmm. More people are probably going to watch. You probably get more money. But at what cost? At what hit to your integrity and to your honor?
Yeah. Let's do a little business here before we move forward. A couple of things we need to tell you guys about. Number one is the Amazon banner on the front of phoneboothfighting.com. This is Frank's department. Frank, tell everybody why that's important as a way to support the show.
It's the thing I do all my shopping on now. Hey, if you go on phoneboothfighting.com, you click on the banner, the Amazon banner, it takes you right over to your Amazon. It already links your account up as long as you're logged in. And at that moment, any of the shopping that you do, all the things that you purchase, we get to see what they are, which is cool on our part.
Yeah, we don't see your name. We don't get your credit card information or anything like that.
Why are you lying to them? No, just kidding.
Yeah, we just, we're not compromising your security. But
we can see the weird shit you buy.
Right. It's one long anonymous list is what it is.
And a small percentage of those purchases come back here to help us out at the show so we can keep Mikey, his wife happy that he comes down here and helps.
That's right. Porno doesn't always pay the bills. Sometimes he has to supplement it with some legitimate podcasting. Now, along those lines of people, good listeners like yourself who support this show, I got to give a shout out to Colleen, right? Mikey, if you pull this up. Now, I got to tell you the story about Colleen and her husband, Bruce, okay? Now, Colleen and Bruce are both listeners to the show. They're a couple. The couple that listens to Phone Booth Fighting stays together, I think is how the old analogy goes. And Colleen had purchased a Phone Booth Fighting t-shirt for Bruce on our website. Speaking of phoneboothfighting.com, you click on the store, and there's all our official merch with all the t-shirt designs and everything if you'd like one of your own or one for your significant other. But Colleen got this for Bruce's 31st birthday back at the beginning of the month, and she sent me this email. I told her we wanted to give Bruce a birthday shout-out on the podcast, so that's what we're doing. But she actually sent me a little story with accompanying photos. Now there he is wearing his Phone Booth Fighting t-shirt, holding some blueberries for some reason. Let me tell you what she wrote. My husband's name is Bruce, and he's turning 31 on March 2nd. Let's see here. This summer will be 12 years of being together. Bruce is a great husband for so many reasons. One major reason being that he always does what he knows will make me happy, and that means going to the beach. Okay? He comes to the beach with me for hours and hours and never complains. He listens to Phone Booth Fighting at the beach while trying not to burn because he is very pale. There's Bruce sitting under a giant beach umbrella. Now, this would be me. This is like if you and I went to the beach.
Yes.
Yeah, you're Colleen in this equation.
I like to hang out in the sun.
You're out there in your bikini, just soaking in the rays, and I'm Bruce there with my earbuds in and all my SPF 82 slathered on. She said, also, Bruce isn't really an outdoorsy person, but he goes blueberry picking with me wearing his favorite shirt, of course, and that's where he's got his Phone Booth Fighting t-shirt on. This year, on Bruce's birthday weekend, we are moving from freezing state upstate New York to Florida. Well, that'll be good for beach weather. Good thing he has podcasts downloaded for the 20-plus hour drive. Thank you so much for giving a shout-out to a great husband who always makes his wife happy doing activities she loves in the sun. That's from Colleen. All right, well, congratulations, you two, and glad to see Bruce is enjoying his Phone Booth Fighting t-shirt. You know who else was spotted wearing their Phone Booth Fighting t-shirt? Was Corey Forrester from the Well Read podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Our comedian friends. He pull up... look up Corey Ryan Forrester on Twitter. You might be able to find the picture. He wasn't tweeting about his T-shirt. He just happened to have it on. He was actually tweeting about the troublesome size of his giant pumpkin head, and he just took a selfie of it and was pointing it out. But he happened to be wearing his Phone Booth Fighting T-shirt. So shout out to Corey, one of the funniest guys out there, man. Those guys. If you haven't seen the Well Read comedy tour, check them out if they come through your area. But Corey was wearing his T-shirt. All right, see, yep, here it is. His caption is, "This is how round my head is. This is God's mistake. Gaze upon it." And there he is wearing his Phone Booth Fighting T-shirt. So, thanks to Corey for representing for us. I've got a hooker story for you, Frank.
Oh, good.
It's been a while.
It has been.
It's been a while since I've brought Tales of the Brothel.
I know. You not talking about the brothel, Mike not shooting porno that much lately.
Well, my
life's been boring.
I'm about to make up for it in spades because this is going to be a home run for you and for the listeners, I'm sure, as well. All right, so let me set the scene. First of all, I'm having to sort out this workplace dilemma while I'm at Disneyland over the weekend. So you talk about the juxtaposition.
Two different
right?
happiest places in the world.
I'm in line for It's a Small World, texting with hookers, trying to get this thing worked out as to how we're going to pull this off. Now, by this thing, what I mean is this. As everybody knows, if you listen to the show, I run a legal brothel here just outside of Las Vegas. That's my day job. That's my fallback professional job. And we have legal prostitution there. And now, to an ever-increasing degree, we have a plethora of well-known porn stars that come there and have one-on-one legal, professional, sexual encounters with fans and clients. So, I mean, I got a whole stable of porn stars that I'm managing. It's interesting now that because Mikey and I off air will share names, but hey, where you ever shot? And he'll pull her up. Oh yeah, I remember shooting this girl a couple of times. Yeah, oh no, this one's good. Yeah, she's
talking shop.
Yeah, we talk shop, right? So we have a girl there who came through for her, a porn star who came through for her first tour. Basically, she was there for about 2 weeks in-house earlier this month. Did great. Made big money, lots of fans coming out. Super easy to work with, which, by the way, this tells you where I'm at in life when that's the thing that I appreciate about you. Not what the normal guy would think, oh, that girl's hot, or this girl. It's like, no, she's reliable. Like, she's super dependable. Like, that's, like you're describing a hot girl. Anyway, this one is. And so she gets a request. Now, this is where the thing gets tricky, and we'll open it up to conversation. Be real eye-opening for some folks, I'll bet. She gets a request from a client that wants to book her when she's back next week, but he wants a male talent to be in the room as well.
Pretending to be the husband who's watching them?
Well, maybe, but definitely what he's going for is the cuckold experience. Now, you and I...
so he wants the male performer to bang the girl.
Yeah.
While he pretends he can't.
That's right. Now, I am responsible. Some years back, this predated Porno Mikey's
you introduced
time
me
with
to
us.
the cuckolding thing.
Yeah, I explained. I wish you could have seen it, Mikey.
I still don't understand it. Like, my brain has the hardest fucking time grasping that concept.
Well, let's explain it. Everybody may not know it.
There's offshoots and stuff like that we
There's offshoots to it?
It's like... They'll say it's not like cuckolding, but like the owner of Naughty America is real into like, it's called hot wifing. It's like it's the same shit, but it's like slightly different. And we had to shoot like different intros and like shoot some sites like that.
I thought that's how you used to steal cars. That's hot wiring.
Yeah.
This is hot wiring. Well, so if you don't know the term, it basically means that your kink is that, and by the way, it can go the other way too. I don't think it's nearly as prevalent, but I guess this could happen with a woman as well. But the whole idea is that you want to watch somebody else bang your wife or your girlfriend or whatever and be made to feel inferior, like it's some kind of humiliating experience. Like I'm banging your wife, but the whole
and
not
talking
only
shit to you at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. And she is too. That's the other thing is that's right, Mikey. Have you ever shot any of this stuff?
It's not like cuckolding per se, but yeah, we've done some
not your
stuff.
Specialty.
No, it's like it's weird. It's almost like at Naughty America we shot like polite cuckolding, but
tasteful.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but we've done that, and like cuckolding is more like the guy the guy's getting off on being humiliated, not necessarily that they're sex, so the girl's talking about how big the other guy's dick is. This is what a real man, feels like. Oh, it's,
So give me an example, because you've heard some of this dialogue, right? So get into character. What would it sound like? What does the girl say to the viewer? It's like I'm watching this to be humiliated.
Yeah, and we've shot that stuff before,
Okay.
where like the camera, it's like is the POV of the husband, like in theory.
Sure.
So and it's weird because we had to get the girl to look directly at the lens, which you never do, and all the stuff we did.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, it's like in what's the Kevin Spacey show?
American.
House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards.
Yeah,
where he
talks
would
to
like
the
stop everything, and he would be like talking. It'd be like that.
All right, so I'm watching this. I'm all balled up in a corner, crying.
Yeah.
And what is the girl saying to me?
She's mostly talking about how it's a relief to have a real dick. It's like, this is what a real dick feels like. Like, are you stroking your tiny shrimp over there? Are you watching this shit? It's like, look how big his cock
Honestly,
is.
I swear to God, right now, I need somebody who does this as a man.
Yeah.
To write into our show.
Yeah.
And explain to me what the fuck is going on in their head.
Somebody that's into it.
Somebody who's into it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know about it, and you tried explaining it to me.
Yeah.
I need a conversation with a guy who's actually, this is his kink.
Okay.
Because I don't get it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and there's other things that I might not be into, but I don't have an issue with. I get it. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see I can see the intrigue in that. Not my cup of tea, but you know what I mean? Like, hey, all the more power to you. That is the one thing I just can't figure out. Like, how does that make you feel good? Like, what part? Like, I don't get it.
Well, if you're out there, message us on our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page.
I guess the stereotype is like someone who's like super, super powerful, and they feel like king of the world all fucking day, 24/7. That's like their way to get like brought back down almost. It's like people who do like downers, I guess, as a drug. They're normally like super high wired, so they do heroin just to like veg out. I have no.
I feel pretty confident in my life, and I maybe I'm just not that confident. Maybe I don't feel that strong.
Other times it's like borderline gay shit. Like the husband will like lick the guy's balls while he's fucking his wife or something like super gay like that. We didn't do anything like that, but that's like
brings me.
That's like the other end. It's like it's basically the guy's gay, but he's not like gay.
Hold your thought.
Anyway, okay.
That brings me to the next part of this conversation. So I'm talking to her, and this face.
I don't feel good, man. I'm fucking coughing like my stomach is not doing right.
If you're watching our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube channel, Frank's looking a little peaked.
Yeah, I don't feel good right now. I don't. That image fucked my head up right now.
All right, well, let me see what I can do to make it worse.
I'm having like intrusive thoughts, and I'm like, okay, I gotta like fucking channel Jesus loves me, Jesus loves me.
So she messages me at Disneyland and says, hey, I've got an email from this client, and he's looking to bring in a male talent. Okay, so at first that's all the information I have. So I said, okay, well, here's the deal. I mean, we don't keep male talents just on staff. There have been historically a few licensed male prostitutes that have come through brothels in Nevada over the years. Not ours, but they have been in a few places. They met with limited success because it was basically a gay thing. It was like gay escort, but legal.
I mean,
but
what woman in the world? If there's a woman that needs to pay for dick, I have to see what she looks like.
No, that's
because I mean, like, you could have one fucking leg missing an eye and weigh 300 pounds, and you're still
somebody's still gonna
fuck you. You have pussy. You got the best, the most valuable commodity in the whole fucking world.
Yeah, that is why, to your point, Frank, that the heterosexual model of that really never worked over the years because there just wasn't a need for it. Okay,
Gigolo.
So that being said,
go ahead.
No, so that being said, we don't just have male people on talent or talent on standby. Exactly.
I like that word, gigolo.
So what I told her was this. I said, well, if he just wants to, if the male talent, if he doesn't have to be licensed, he could be basically like a customer. Because if you and I went into a brothel, Frank,
going in with your wife and having a threesome with somebody.
Yes,
essentially this guy is having a threesome. With his buddy, which is just that's the male talent.
So if you and I felt comfortable enough with each other, Frank, legally we could go in and split a hooker.
There you go.
So yeah, that would be fine.
That would be literally. Did you mean that pun?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And so
for those at home,
Chinese handcuffs.
You see what I'm thinking.
So what I told her was, I said, now that we could do it that way, and he doesn't have to be licensed. I said, what exactly is he looking for his experience? Well, she replied to me that he is looking to actually have physical interaction with the guy. That he wants to be, that part of this whole humiliation is that not only is his, pretend wife or girlfriend or whatever fucking this other guy and he's just forced to watch, but that he also has to, blow the dude. Basically like what Mikey was just talking about. And I said, well, it could be done. I said, but we've got to get this guy licensed and cleared and, just like you would a male talent. So I'm in the process of having to do something that I've never had to do before with the licensing and the testing, which is to get the male run through the ringer just the same way we do the females. You say you never shot this kind of stuff, huh, Mikey?
No.
You just heard tales.
And any other cuckold stuff we ever shot, there was never another actual guy in there. It was all implied, the
camera's the guy.
Yeah, the camera's the guy, stuff like that. And it was more like I said, more like hot wifing. The site was called My Wife Is My Porn Star. So it's our hot wifing is more it's not, this guy doesn't get off on humiliation. More that his wife is so hot and sexually empowered that she just fucks whoever she wants, and he just more likes to watch and hear about it. Not that but he doesn't like to get put down. He just likes to hear about and watch.
Yeah.
More than getting put down. That's what hot wifing is. It's one-sided swinging almost.
It's funny, Frank, because I had one of those moments where I realized that I think my girlfriend's been hanging around your wife too long, because I was telling her about this while we're in line at Disneyland about this thing I was trying to work out, and now this was before she heard about the male on male contact, but when we thought, well, maybe it's just another dude banging that girl and the client is watching, she looks at me and she goes, how much is this paying? She's like, is the guy getting half? Because she knows the kind of money that this sort of thing commands in there. I mean, you're talking, this could be well over 10 grand. And she said, wait, is he getting an equal cut? And I could see her wheels turning. I was like, hey, wait a second, you're not pimping me out. Just a minute, But that's what she was thinking was, hey, we'll get a cut of this. And the funny thing was,
managing you.
Yeah. And so the funny thing was, once I heard,
she's been hanging out with Mrs. Muir too long.
Yeah. So the funny, exactly, because the funny thing was, once I heard that, what the guy wanted and everything, I was like, oh, I wouldn't be any good at that. But then I thought to myself, because I remember you and I having that conversation at one point. You're like, man, if it paid enough, my wife would make me. You'd be in there crying after they yell cut, having to take a moment and go to the bathroom. But yeah, anyway, so we're having to arrange for that male talent too. So how about this, Frank? Not only is this fella thinking in his head that he would like to, probably drop the equivalent to the price of a low-level new car on a prostitute that he will not,
brand new motorcycle.
Yeah, that he will not have sex with, but for his trouble, he's actually going to be coerced into a little man-on-man love.
So is he going to get ass raped or just mouth raped?
You know what? That's the final chapter that I have not read yet. I don't know where we're probably.
Where were that guy's parents, man? He needed a fucking hug, man.
He's getting one.
That guy just needed to be loved when he was younger, man. He's fucked in the head. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I can imagine if I was single and someone wanted to pay me to bang their wife while they watched. First question out of my fucking mouth, even before we get to the amount of money, is what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Are you just going to be in the corner watching and just don't fucking distract me too much? Then, we might be able to talk. You know what I mean? If you're jerking off and I look over and see your dick, that's going to bother me a little bit.
Is that an upcharge? It's not. That doesn't have to be a deal
breaker.
breaker.
The fuck, if you touch me, we got problems.
Okay, that's where we're. Okay, yeah.
And again, I'm not homophobic. Two guys can have sex all day long, and then as long as they shower afterwards, we'll go roll and do jiu-jitsu. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's not sexual. But that's just not my sexual preference. You know what I mean?
There was a guy, he actually got busted because he was like a Disney executive who would do that. He would pay 2 porn stars to come over to his house, and he would just watch, and he wanted to like play director. Like he would pick out the girl's outfit and like do all this kind of weird shit, but he would legit just like wanted to pretend he was a porn director. And I'm like, dude, you work for Disney. You're like notches above a porn director.
Yeah.
But he would.
I can see how that could be.
Yeah.
See, now again, not my cup of tea.
But you can see what. Yeah.
But I can see what you get out of that. I'm like, oh well, I like watching porno, and you're watching live porno and be able to tell the guy and the girl what to do. I'm like, all right, Yeah. If I'm paying someone to be fucking, I'm the one doing the fucking. Yeah. My mindset, like, hey, buddy, you pretend you're the director. I'm the fucking star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the whole, like, I have to think that's homosexuality involved there. And in some way, still because our society is kind of suppressive towards that, I feel like that's just, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, you suppress your internal anger and then you get a fucking tumor. You know what I mean? Like it came out some other way. And I think that's why you have a guy who's a homosexual, because he doesn't want to have sex with the girl, but he wants the guy to fuck him. But he's setting up a scenario that your initial inclination or your first probably assessment of a definition is that he's not a straight homo. But if you wanted to pay to suck some dude's dick and you didn't mention the girl, like nobody in their right mind, they're all like, oh, that's gay. That's a homosexual act. But with this, somehow maybe with the cucking, they kind of skirt that line. Even though it's like if you have same-on-sex sexual interaction, that's a homosexual act. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck if you're whacking each other off. I mean, it's homosexual.
It's a way to bargain with yourself to kind of get there without having to just outwardly admit, to own it. I mean, I'll give you a low-level example of
this
that.
Might be real quick before, because this is a very personal question. But like, in my experiences, I have never had a male, female threesome. Never. I've never had the urge to have sex. And I understand that guys run trains on girls. They're not necessarily touching each other. But I remember when I was younger, in high school, you're trying to fuck anything you can. Friends being like, well, I'm like, nah, man, I'd rather go without. Like, I can't sit here and watch you have sex and me have sex at the same time. Like, would we make eye contact? Like, would we look over? Like, you breathing, I'm hearing you breathe. Like, I mean, and then what if I touch something on her that you just touched with your dick? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I'm even okay. So,
yeah.
We've shot some DPs before, and it's always. Yeah, it's always like.
I feel like that's a little gateway. It's the gateway drug.
That's like the first
That's the gateway to homosexuality. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, and it was weird. Like.
Was this the same day you got blasted by Luke Frost?
No, this is a different day. We broke a guy's very expensive lawn chair doing a DP because there's 3 people on a lawn chair. Yeah, and it broke. And my boss after the scene, he took a picture of the tag, and then he was Googling the lawn chair, and he's like, so it was a $1,300 lawn chair.
Because here's my thing: just being an athlete my whole life, I can watch an athletic event, and that's just how my brain works. I can put myself there. I can watch a guy throw a kick a certain way, do a certain choke, certain takedown, and I can look at it, and my brain can assimilate it almost off of visual cues, right? I'm very much of that type of learner, right? So when I've seen, and I don't watch those kind of adult movies, but I mean, of course, as you're clicking through, screens pop up, especially like ads and stuff, and you'll see like the girl laying there and the guy on the bottom, the guy on top. And for a moment there, I just visualize them all. So while you're driving into another man. Even though there's a girl in between you, they got to be touching, right?
Yeah.
The balls are touching.
Yeah, there's a guy, he actually just tragically died recently. Bill Bailey. He had really
Oh, he's dead?
Yeah, he was in Mexico for an adult convention with his fiance, who, I mean, they're both performers, and I guess he was drinking during the day and was going back up to his room and somehow fell off a balcony full of stories, and he passed away.
Jesus.
Really just super cool guy. But anyway, what we're talking about had really long balls, and I was like, if there's one guy I'm not gonna do a DP with, it's gonna be Bill Bailey.
Now, are there any behind the scenes things like, can you rubber band that shit up or anything?
No, you just got and just like you see Bill, and I'm just like, man,
okay. Now, realistically,
the first thing I think about is I'm not doing a DP.
Okay, so hold on. If 2 guys can do that and stay erect, do you guys start thinking, these guys are fucking homos? Because I could imagine, I could probably get, excited.
Yeah.
But then once we get going, I'm losing it, dude. Like, there's no way. Like, it's gonna be like the fucking.
Well,
there was a guy. I forgot his name now, but he was like a kind of a performer, and we shot this scene. It was 3 guys and 1 girl, and he was just like a fucking like oak tree, just like rock hard. But like every other time, he's like, "Hey man, can I get 5 minutes? Just whatever." Like he always had a little break in the scene, except for this one time where there's 2 other guys,
no
and
5
he's
minutes
just
needed
like
that day.
he's like leading the pack, and he's like, "Okay, you go over here." He's like, doing the conductor, all this stuff. And go,
I don't know what side of the field he wants to play on.
But on our end, it's like if like just like they're professionals too, so you kind of have to, I guess, like be in command of your dick. If you want to make money, I mean, in general. So if you can kind of like look past, I feel like they get a pass because they're professional. Like if you're at home doing it, I think you're kind of gay. But if you're at work doing it, it's you get a little more gray area.
I think there's got to be some point of inability to suspend disbelief to answer your question, because it'd be like I've always thought about, like, if you put $1 million cash in front of me, which I could totally use, and be like, okay, bang this 80-year-old woman, like I might want to for that, right? But I don't know if I could work. I don't think it would work. You know what I mean? Like I'd probably be mad at it all the way home, being like, "You just cost us $1 million," but it's I don't know if it's going to have huh?
Yeah, take the shot.
The shot, yeah.
So and if you do that, it's hard. Just no matter what, it's hard.
Yeah, they give it to. It was I think designed or somehow was for paraplegics, so they could like. Still like be married and have sex. I don't know if they felt anything or not, but somehow
at least they could satisfy their wife.
Yeah,
that'd be better than not. I would go with that.
Right.
But somehow porn guys got a hold of it and
well, yeah. So I could you I know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. I just to wrap this one up. What I see on a much lower level, the lower level version of this, not necessarily the gay thing, but you want to talk about like bargains, conversations you have in your own head, and there's some closeted aspects there that you just don't want to own up to. What I see all the time is a guy who comes in and does this. He wants to go through this charade of, oh, this is a brothel? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. No, I just thought, I saw that you had the sign that said a bar, and I was just going to come in, have a beer. Holy cow, I've never been around. Okay, well,
I just happen to have a lot of cash on me.
Man, you know what? I mean, I've never thought about paying for sex before. I guess, well, shoot. I mean, maybe since I'm here, when am I going to be here? You see what I'm saying? Like, and the girl will go through that dance with him. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I get it. You would never be in here otherwise. But hey, yeah, since you're here, I mean, this is going to be a once in a lifetime chance. So he can't just. And the flip side is, we have guys that come in that are regulars. They'll just be like, hello, good afternoon. My name is so and so. I'm attracted to you. I have this amount of money. I would like to do A, B, and C. What say you? I mean, they can just be very clinical about it. And then there's people who fall in between. But I do see those guys. And I would think that on a much more graduated scale, it's probably the same kind of thing. They're having to have some kind of rationale with, rationalizing with themselves to be able to get to where they want to be. But you want to talk about like having something stuck in your head. I mean, imagine it's tough enough just to be a single guy or girl out there, just in normal date. Think about all the hassles of normal dating, right? Now that's bad enough, but now imagine that you got to find somebody that you click with and all that, but you got this going on. So then even if you find that person that you can relate to, now you're gonna have to go, okay, so here's the thing I haven't told you yet. What I'm really into is some other guy fucking you and you telling me about how worthless I am.
I think there's a huge double standard there.
In what way?
Because I think that a man trying to find a woman to do that might be a little weirded out. Mm-hmm. But I don't think a woman would have a very hard time telling her husband, like, honey, sometimes I just want to bring home a bitch and watch you tear her up and talk shit. I'm like, all right. If it makes you happy.
I'll sacrifice.
I love you, right? I spoil you, kid. I spoil you.
Have you had these same conversations, Mikey, like the one I just had, where everybody, knows what porn is and they've probably seen it, but I mean, as far as some of this stuff, have you found yourself in these conversations where people are just like, what?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weirdest one I get is I always turn people off of Cetaphil, because that's what we use for fake cum to like increase the cum shot for the stills a little bit.
What's Cetaphil?
It's a skin cleanser, like a special.
Oh yeah.
So if you have that in your house, I'm sure like a lot of women use it and everything.
That's just fake cum.
That's what we use. Yeah, just squirt some in your hand and like look at it and go, oh yeah. Or if you're feeling like really,
I'm not gonna,
or put some on your chin and look and go, yep, that's.
Rub that in next time, buddy. Nice.
So now I get people to like when they see it at the store or a commercial or in their bathroom, they go, I don't know if I want to use that to clean my face. Yeah. It's soap. It's just regular like.
I think it's really good soap.
It's really
too, right?
good, yeah. And you can't use the CVS brand. You have to use name brand Cetaphil.
Well, I personally am just looking
creamier.
Yeah, it is a little thicker, a little more whiter. But that was one of the things I was pretty good at is like making a realistic cum on a face.
That's one of the things you're really good at.
Yeah, because some people like it's not.
Who knew you had that hidden talent?
Yeah, you're like the Rick Baker of porno.
Come here, honey. Look at that. Okay, hold on. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because a lot of people go crazy and they like cover both sides of the chin, but you think like your penis isn't coming out like shotgun spread. It's coming out like a rifle, one shot, and it's going kind of in one place.
And only about a tablespoon, right?
And then dripping down. Yeah, it depends on the guy, and
Yeah, because they could take supplements for that, right?
I think the big thing is to be hydrated.
Oh, I think it's genetic too.
Yeah, it is because one guy like just what's his name, Preston, he's like known for it, and he'll like tell people like one of the same guy who lawn chair we broke. We're shooting his house.
Here she blows,
and he was just like making some. He's like, I love your house, man. And the guy goes, oh, cool. He's like, yeah, my name's Preston. I'm pretty known for my pop shot.
So if you got any plastic drapes or anything of value, you might want to move the shit back and cover some stuff.
And the guy was just like, oh, okay, cool. It was just like, yeah. But anyway.
All right, Porno Mikey. Yeah. This is a perfect segue to get to your headlines.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have Porno Mikey relate the news of the day, Frank, and we will react accordingly. I'll let you know how that turns out, by the way. I'll get a full field report and follow up here on a future episode of Phone Booth Fighting. All right, Porno Mikey, what's in the headlines
All right, let's
today?
Smooth transition. Speaking of homosexuality, Adrian Broner went off on one of his social media on a homophobic rant.
Adrian Broner, famous boxer.
Yeah, famous boxer. I guess the backstory behind this was supposedly there's this guy who was famous from a meme, and I have his video pulled up too.
Okay.
Claimed that Adrian Broner was shooting a shot in his DMs, and so Adrian Broner and him have been going back and forth on, I guess, Twitter or whatever, and then Broner gave went on a pretty bad rant here.
Okay, what are we seeing first?
This is Broner's rant.
Okay.
Hold on.
By the way, Frank, your kids, do they know these? When somebody becomes like a social media star, they're famous because of a YouTube channel. Yeah, something like that. Like, because that, I know what that is. I mean, I've certainly heard it, but that's just foreign to me, the idea that I only know someone from their YouTube channel or something like that. But I guess with teenagers these days, there's
certain voices of guys that my kids listen to that if they don't have headphones in, I'm constantly listening to that voice. There's some English guy, and they just watch kids play video games, and Minecraft still's pretty big. And then now they watch them play other shit too.
Yeah. All right, what does Adrian Broner have to say here? Go ahead.
Because I don't know what type funny shit boy on, but look. If any fag punk ass nigga come run up on me, trying to touch me on all that gay shit, I'm letting you know right now. If I ain't got my gun on me, I'm knocking you the fuck out. If I got my gun on me, I'm shooting your fucking face. And that's on God now. I'm not playing with none of these niggas. All that gay shit.
Well,
someone's uncle
had I been his
interviewed, interrogated.
Yeah, exactly right. Had I been his publicist, I would probably have recommended not live streaming that well thought out message.
Talking about how you're going to shoot homosexuals.
Bad idea. Bad idea. Now what?
This is the guy who supposedly said Adrian Broner has been DMing him on social media. He's famous from this meme.
You believe that the Lord tonight has set you free?
Not the preacher.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Turn around and tell those people. Tell them. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman.
That's
Wait, it's the guy? It's the actual guy?
That guy, I guess because people found out that this clip went viral, and then people found this guy, and I guess he shocker, he's still gay.
What? This didn't take? The moment of delivery?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so supposedly this guy claims Adrian Broner is
hitting on him,
is DMing him.
Okay.
And then Adrian Broner, I guess, went attacked on this guy, and then he just got mad and just posted a rant to all homosexuals.
Yeah, no, Adrian Broner has homosexual tendencies.
Yeah.
You don't hate homos that bad unless you're internally conflicted. Do you know what I mean? Like, once again, like, I'm not homosexual.
Yeah.
I have no desire to touch a man in a sexual way or have him touch me. It doesn't do nothing for me. But that being said, if you're gay and we're sparring and it comes out that you're gay, I'm just going to be like, what you do on your own time is what you fucking do on your own time. I don't give a shit. It isn't going to make me gay. I mean,
You know who has a great analogy about this is Adam Carolla. He relates it to football. The closeted, self-hating gay person who's outwardly homophobic. He said it's like this. He said, you're a fan of your favorite football team or whatever, and they play in the NFC East, right? And he said, so obviously you root for them and you've got a vested interest in everybody else in the division losing. But for some reason, you're always very preoccupied with what's going on with the L.A. Rams over on the other coast. Like, it doesn't make any sense other than facing each other in the Super Bowl why you would even care. But you're always really focused on what's going on with them.
When you're that focused on something, you're hiding it. You know what I mean? Like, if it bugs you that much, it's like, well, why does it bother you?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you could say you don't understand it. You could tell me you think it's gross. If you showed me two guys fucking right now, I'm going to turn my face. I don't want to see that. I do find that gross.
But if you see it, you won't feel the need to open fire at that point.
It's like, oh, hey, dude, shut the fucking door. I'm going to go over here now. You know what I mean?
You won't be brandishing a weapon.
No, I could give a shit less. You know what I mean? And if you're like, hey, you want to come in here? I'll be like, thanks for the compliment.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that I'm still desirable.
Yeah.
Fuck no. I don't want to. I'm good, man. You know
By the way, if either one of you can pass an STD test, I might be able to get a finder's fee from my friend who runs a brothel. Is anybody available on Friday? All right, what's next, Porno Mikey?
Let's see. Let's go to this one. This one's weird. This some viral YouTube videos. I have my segues on point today.
I feel bad for Broner. He just needs to come out. Stop living in pain, dude.
There's this foster mom who had a wildly successful YouTube page with her foster kids, and I guess she was like beating the shit out of them and like macing them if they didn't like do
on
their lines
YouTube.
Right. No, not on YouTube. The YouTube was like
wildly successful. We need to look at who's clicking on this stuff.
The YouTube videos are like kids being goofy, just like doing weird shit.
Oh, but behind the scenes,
she was like, "Oh,
they're like beating fucking circus animals."
Yeah, so it's a little 2-minute video, so we'll play that.
Kids being kids on camera. Nearly 800,000 people subscribing to Michelle Hackney's YouTube channel. Her videos racking up 250 million views. But court documents reveal that when the camera stopped rolling, the family-friendly fun takes a dark turn. Maricopa police say Hackney would routinely pepper spray the children from head to toe.
Fuck you.
And in their private parts. Investigators, adding the kids, say she would lock them in a closet with a deadbolt, with no access to food, water, or a bathroom, forcing them to wear pull-ups instead. Documents also revealing Hackney made the children take ice baths and stand in a corner with their arms raised above their head for as long as 18 hours. And authorities say one of the boys tells them Hackney would pinch his private parts with her fingernails, making him bleed. Police say Hackney's heinous acts were punishment if the kids didn't recall their lines or perform the way she wanted them to.
Yeah, but those little kids, the only time I ever saw them out was getting out of their car, going in their house, or in the back when they were shooting their videos.
It's shocking, yeah. I had no clue at all.
Lisa telling us she once found Hackney's keys.
She claimed online she needed them because it was to a locked box for medication. Now it makes me think, was it keys to possibly a locked door where kids were?
Which one?
Acme's biological sons, who would play the villains in the videos, are also facing charges for failing to report abuse. Michelle Hackney denies using the closet for punishment and denies the pepper spraying, even though cops found 2 cans in her room, along with a deadbolt on the closet.
What about the penis pinches? You want to fucking deny that shit too?
Makes you really wonder, like, what's going on around you.
Boy, it was 3 bad hair days too. Yeah. That woman and the 2 adult sons. How bizarre. So it's like on camera, it's this funny like variety show thing they're doing, but behind the scenes, she's abused. It's like Joe Jackson style.
That's the first thing I thought of was like, oh, this is like the modern day Jackson 5.
I try to be a logical person about almost everything. I mean, we could talk about some pretty, controversial subjects, whether it's racial, whether it's pedophilia, you know what I mean? And I'm logical. I'll listen to things going on, you know what I mean? And before I pass judgment. The one area where I can't really sustain my logic, where emotion comes up and I'm just like, fuck you, I just want to break your arms, is when people abuse children. You know what I mean? Or abuse anything. Like if I see some guy kicking the fuck out of his dog, you know what I mean? Like, you want to fuck something up that can't return fire.
Right.
The type of person you are, like, it ignites hatred in me, and I just like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to crush him.
And I believe the world is better off without those people. Like as being the liberal that I am, I'm opposed to the death penalty, but I'm opposed to it for practical reasons because I don't think it actually works as far as being a deterrent. But if I knew that somebody had the infallible ability to just wave their hand and go, oh, we don't need you anymore, I'd be 100% fine with that. If somebody, I'm worried about the mistakes being made, but if somebody could do that, like if I believe there was an actual God who had infallibility and could just strike people, I'd be all for striking people down.
Now here's like a very like, this is a topic my wife hates when I bring up at dinners and stuff. It could, because it was used improperly with the eugenics movement, trying to sterilize certain facets of society on a racial level to make it to where they wouldn't breed on, right? But here, I think that we could revisit the idea of sterilizing people. If you're a pedophile, you're wired wrong. You know what I mean? If you're able to abuse small animals and put them on fire, and you're the type of guy that can fucking shake a little baby to death, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? And I think that we should
something
limit.
Permanently wrong.
Yeah, there's something unfixably fucked up about you. You know what I mean? Like, so regardless if you were born that way, which most likely I think that's what a lot of it is, or if somehow someone did it to you and I'm sorry, but now you're this fucking psychopath repeating the process, I think sterilizing those individuals so that they can't breed and they can't put their genetics back into our pool is not a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be for it. I'd vote for it right now.
Hasn't that been the case in some states? Don't they have that as an option? I think there's been like
I think they'll castrate,
chemical castration.
Yeah, chemical castration for certain rapists that are just like, okay, this guy is a fucking scum.
And I think what it is, they can't if I remember right, they can't impose it. Yeah, but you
it's like you either do 20
as,
years or you could fucking do 3 and we'll castrate you.
Right. 8 states allow chemical or surgical castration of sex offenders. California, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Montana, Oregon, Texas, and Wisconsin.
Okay. All right.
So that's weird. A lot of conservative states in California.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really want some scumbag rapist or pedophile or child abuser having 10 kids? And I'm not saying his 10 kids are probably fucked. Not all. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm willing to bet that whatever he is wired, just like those kids will look like him, like the traits of your brain are passed on. You know what I mean? Like, people that are like, my kids are big time risk takers. The doctor, when I was a kid, or when I was younger, our pediatrician told me I forget, it was Cage doing something crazy, and Bella, and we're like, Jesus, my kids like have no fucking fear. They'll like fucking walk at the top of the staircase and leap off. Like, I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean? He goes, oh, well, you know what I mean? They've inherited that from you. The ability to overcome things that another person, is scared to death of and freezes. You like the feeling of being afraid, right? I'm all, yeah, actually I do. I get off on that, like that adrenaline rush. She's all, guess what you passed on to your kids?
Yeah.
They're adrenaline junkies too. I'm like, oh, shit.
It's like Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl's kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Why does Jack have like all those traits?
Yeah, I know.
I think Mr. Incredible might be a.
All right. What's next, Mikey?
Let's go something lighter now. Trump talking shit.
Castrating rapist is light.
So Trump's talking shit on Twitter to his campaign manager, and I guess she's his consultant now. Kellyanne Conway's husband,
yes.
George Conway. Here, I'll pull the article. I'll read before I pull the article up. Here's what Trump tweeted: George Conway, often referred to as Mr. Kellyanne Conway, Byrne, by those who know him, is very jealous of his wife's success and angry that I, with her help, didn't give him the job he so desperately wanted. I barely know him, but just take a look: a stone cold loser, all caps, and husband from hell.
Is that a tweet from the President of the United States?
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess because
I never thought in my lifetime I would hear a sitting president say those words out loud, let alone type them down to where it's all for us to see. A stone cold loser. Wow.
Yeah. Just in regards to a private citizen. Now, get it. The guy, listen, the deal is, I mean, Kellyanne Conway is Trump's staunchest defender. She does a very good job of it, too. I don't agree with her, but, I mean, she's very effective at it. And she's married to this guy, George Conway, the guy on the right. They're both lifelong Republicans. It's not that this guy's some leftist. He is a staunch conservative who at one time supported Trump. But once Trump came into office, he not only didn't like a lot of things Trump was doing, he was hoping that Kellyanne Conway would at some point stop working for him. And so now they have this division in their marriage, even though they're both members of the same political party. Now, Conway, over the weekend, was tweeting out...
Mr. Conway.
Yeah, Mr. Kellyanne Conway was tweeting out clinical definitions of narcissism. He was sending out, like, medical
I saw
journal.
That. Okay, that was him that was doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't, in fairness, as much disdain as I have for Donald Trump, it's not like any medical professional, let alone somebody who's not a medical professional, is actually going to be able to diagnose somebody over the internet. But what that was in reaction to was the fact that Donald Trump, the aforementioned president of the United States, as you pointed out, Frank, tweeted or retweeted over the weekend, in a period of 48 hours, 50 times. 50 times. Like, if I told you if I told you Mikey, so did you see what Mikey was doing this weekend? Mikey tweeted 50 times in 48 hours. You'd be like, have you called him? Is he okay? Has he gone manic? Like, what's going on, man?
What was he tweeting about?
Is he okay? Just, he's mad at Conway. He's mad at John McCain. He had,
Oh, yeah. Why is he fucking bashing on McCain?
He's mad at, he's done that from time to
that's
time.
Been respected on both sides.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
John McCain's been dead 7 months at this
war
point.
Veteran, was captured, survived that shit, came back. I mean, that guy pretty much gave his whole life to his country from the fucking get-go. Regardless if you believe in what he stood for, that motherfucker is a man. You know what I mean? Like 100%. I mean, fuck, if I only grew up to be half of what he ever accomplished in life, I should be put in books. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, no, it's for one, especially if you can't, at least to some degree, on paper, measure up to his same path. Like, it's not even, it still wouldn't be acceptable, but it's not even like you can say, well, hey, we were both in Vietnam. We were both prisoners of war. We're both, I mean, you can talk about somebody who basically was using a bogus medical exemption to stay out of Vietnam, ripping a guy who was a prisoner of war for how many years?
Like 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have personal issues sometimes with McCain. I remember back in '98 when he ran on, one of the things that he did was he took the UFC off the air.
Yeah, he called it human cockfighting.
Human cockfighting. And I remember I was extremely offended off of one aspect of his thing. They asked him, had he ever seen a UFC event? Mm-hmm. And he said no. And I remember that made me dislike him on that topic. Mm-hmm. But that's one topic. The overall, testament to his existence and how much substance and things he stood for and what he was able to do for the country. Jesus Christ, man. Like, maybe that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, some shit just needs to stay sacred. Making fun of somebody who's dead, who wasn't an asshole. I mean, it's different. You want to fucking dig up Hitler's body and fucking ridicule the fuck. I'm all for it. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, like, come on.
When
this was a good guy. Even if you didn't agree with him, he was a good human being.
Yeah, and when I think of John McCain, even though, like you said, I disagree with him a lot politically, I remember in the waning days of his campaign against Barack Obama, when Obama becomes president, if you remember, it was actually parodied on Saturday Night Live, but it was a real-life occurrence. He did a town hall meeting and, taking questions from the audience. McCain's down in the polls. I mean, he needed to his credit, he never went for the kill in the sense of, like, he never played the birther card. He never did the things that he
I
knew.
think that's because he always put country first.
Yes, he never did the things.
It was about who the country wanted, and he wasn't going to try to win by any dirty, underhanded, fucking gossip rag bullshit.
Yes, he knew the things he could have done to win, but he was only going to do what he felt like was real, was not fabricated. And there was a woman that stood up in that town hall meeting. In fact,
I remember this.
There's probably a clip of it online somewhere. Yeah, she stood up and she said, she said, I cannot support Barack Obama, and she kind of stammered a little bit, and she said, because he's an Arab. And John McCain stopped her, and he said, no. He said, no, ma'am, that's not true. He said he's a family man. He's a fine man. We disagree politically, but as a person, he's, And
I remember the clip.
Yeah. And that to me is...
He very easily could have kept his mouth shut and be like, well, I didn't say it. She said it.
Yeah. I mean,
a very Trump-like move.
Trump would say, people are saying. People have said that. I'm hearing a lot about people saying.
Sit up there and defend the guy that you're battling for the seat.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to him to have it, but not at the cost of sacrificing the government or the U.S.
It's a weird thing to just, it would be like, I'm going to just grasp for the first example that comes to my mind, but it's like, if you and I were having some sort of philosophical disagreement, if you and I just were diametrically opposed on a lot of issues and we're campaigning against each other, and I just go, you know what? Frank Mir's a terrible father. He's the worst father that's out there. There is no worse father. Like, that's factually incorrect. You know what I'm saying? It's not even something that can be debated. That's just absurd. And how about me sitting over here saying it with no kids? Like, that's kind of the equivalent of you've been the POW. You've been in the trenches with your 3 kids and you're parenting and you got great kids and you're dad of the year.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm over here telling you how you should do it.
Trump said things, and I think the times I was most offended was some of the comments he made towards McCain. I remember one being that, like, well, I mean, everybody wants to talk about it being a prisoner of war, but he got caught. If I was doing it, I wouldn't have been caught. I'm all, the fuck did you just say, dude?
And you know what? There were moments when things like that were said. There were moments, and this is to my naivete, that when those things were said, I thought, oh, that's the end of that campaign. Well, that's done. And boy, was I mistaken. And to some degree, some people like that sort of thing. But, I thought that Meghan McCain, herself a Republican, had a great response to this because, of course, she's lost her dad 7 months ago and this is still going on. And she pointed out, she's like, he's still getting my dad from the grave. Like, even in death, this is a guy that Donald Trump knows he can never measure up to.
It looks that way. It's again, you're chirping at people like, the king doesn't fucking gossip about a fucking jester.
Yeah.
You just don't. They're below you. You don't think about those things.
Yeah.
But I guarantee the jester and the barmaid and everybody else are in the back talking shit about the king. That's how that works.
Yeah. Well, there was that was part of we got off on that because that was part of the Twitter feud over the weekend. But George Conway, who is still very much alive, is going at it with Donald Trump on Twitter. So, what would you do? I mean, if you're Kellyanne Conway, and I know this is a difficult sort of thing.
I thought what she said to her blast was perfect. When she said that you're just mad that basically the people loved my father.
Oh, you're talking about Meghan McCain. Yeah.
McCain, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was
but yeah, go ahead.
Meghan McCain saying that basically, like, people loved my father across both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
And you just know that no one's going to love you.
Yeah, no one's going to love you like that.
No, the remorse and the solitude, I think the just the reverence that everybody had when McCain passed away. That ain't happening when Trump goes.
No way. But I wanted to, before we move off the Kellyanne Conway story, I just wanted to ask you, if, to me, even if, okay, she works for Trump and the husband is critical of Trump, I still think that there's got to be a time with her. I'm trying to imagine, you know, that feeling of like bunker mentality where it's like, look, I know, my wife can be opinionated, or she can get provocative sometimes with things she's saying or whatever, but you know what you can't do? You can't rag on her. No. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would feel like if I were Kellyanne Conway, even though my husband is going off the reservation, I mean, he's out there shouting out his opinions and stuff, if somebody who wasn't my husband, even if he's my boss, is basically just call my husband a shitty husband. He said he's a husband from hell. Where's right?
United front is the word you're probably looking for. The phrase. Yeah. You have to have a united front, and I experience it all the time in my life. Mrs. Mears' personality is a little on the spicy side, to say.
Yeah,
I'm glad she doesn't watch the show. I'm in trouble just for that.
Yeah.
But there have been times where she's been in a situation where she's having a discussion with somebody and it gets heated, and I stand there. Now, I might not necessarily agree with what my wife is saying all the time, but at that moment, I dare not fucking, and I wouldn't. I mean, that's your spouse. You're supposed to have each other's back. I would not fucking go, well, honey, they are making a good point.
Right.
That'd be the quickest way for me to fucking get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that, like, I'd be on my deathbed, be like, do you remember that fucking time? I'm like, no. You're like, I'm like, can I have a glass of water? I'm fucking pell up and waiting for you to get feeble. You know what I mean? Like, but you know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. There's been times where I've, very far and few between, where if I'm animated on this topic and somebody and I we're getting a little bit emotional with each other, my wife knows, keep your fucking mouth shut. You know what I mean? Like, just like I would keep my fucking mouth shut with you. And if you don't think I'm right, don't correct me in front of somebody. Like, we're together, dude. Like, it's us. Now, when we leave, you can sit there and go, hey, Frank, yeah, you said the sky is purple. It's fucking blue. I'm like, yeah, I know. I fucked up and got angry. Or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, shit, well, I meant this. And fuck, I was wrong, huh? Yeah, you were wrong. And I got to call that fucking asshole back and explain that I was wrong, you know? But not there during the argument. And vice versa. I wouldn't do that to her. I don't think spouses... I mean, if you do that with that, then what happens with your kids? I mean, your kids want to divide and conquer. I mean, trust me, my children already, I see the little games, you know what I mean, like very passively are playing with us. Where it's like, well, Dad, Mom says we couldn't do this because you would, I'm like, I see where you're going with this. All right.
Yeah, the idea that you would not have, if it came down to it, ultimate loyalty to your spouse, despite whatever feud they're involved in. Boy, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, loyalty is just an important trait to have because, I mean, if you think about it, again, I always try to explain this to people. We are tribal animals. Now, I think we're small tribal. That's why I don't think big cities can ever be socialism, because it just doesn't work on a large enough scale, because people don't have empathy for guys that they don't see. Do you know what I mean? If you just sit there and go, well, 10,000 kids are going to go without water, people are like, I don't want to pay extra taxes. Yeah. But if I sit there and go, Billy over there is going to fucking dehydrate to death if you don't pay an extra 5%. Oh, fuck, I don't want Billy to die. I'm a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like, just how we work, So one trait that makes that unified is loyalty. And if you're a disloyal human being, and it's like everybody has to have, I mean, I get to a certain point with maybe a business partner and keep distance, you know what I mean? But when it comes to your friends and family, and your spouse and your children, like, there has to be a sense of loyalty that, like, hey man, even when you're wrong and the chips are down, I'm there for you. You know what I mean? Like,
and by the same token, I would expect Melania Trump to back up Donald Trump. I'm not expecting her to take George Conway's side over his, especially publicly. I don't, and to me, everybody would understand that too. To me, everybody would go, well, yeah, I mean, they're married. I mean, they're gonna, unify front, like you said.
That's why too that you can't force a spouse to testify in a criminal case.
Yeah.
People get that the spouse male or female, is supposed to be they're loyal to each other. I mean, if that nucleus is not there, then what else is supposed to? That's the foundation of a family.
That's right. All right, real quick before we wrap this up, Mikey, do the Devin Nunes story, because this is the funniest story. Have you heard about this one? Devin Nunes, California congressman who was ranking member on the House Intel Committee before the House turned Democratic control. Has been a staunch defender of Donald Trump, and he is suing Twitter, right, Mikey?
Yeah,
suing Twitter for $250 million. Now, this must be one hell of a grievance. What's he suing over?
Basically, it's the shadow banning of conservative voices on Twitter. Is what it boils.
Explain that theory. There's a theory.
So there's a theory that Twitter uses algorithms and what technical nonsense to silence conservative voices on Twitter, so you don't see, instead of just getting, because I know Instagram did this, you don't just get a chronological post. It's if you tweet, it's not chronological. It's based on what your views are, how many people you view, you see. So Twitter, and he's saying Twitter uses that, and they do it in a way to where.
Let's say that they did.
Yeah.
Is that illegal? It's a private company.
I don't think it's here's and
I mean, let's just say it is. I mean, if you have a conservative website, can I sue them for not being liberal enough? And then vice versa. If you're a website that sells guns, I'm suing you because you're selling guns? It's well, no, it's within the law to do so.
I don't think so. I think it's part of the reason why people go there. Now, it would be different if it was an internet provider doing it, okay? But I'll tell you something I have to watch out for on Twitter. Now, I follow a mix of liberal and conservative people, so I probably doesn't happen to me as much as other people, but I can tell from looking at my news feed. If I just go news, because there's a For You section, news for you, that they're kind of making a bubble for you. So if you follow a lot of liberal people, you're going to see that opinion, but if you follow a lot of conservative people, you're going to see their opinions too.
But isn't that making their platform more successful?
Yes.
And you think about it, look, if you Google cars and guns, then in your feed, we're going to show you lots of fucking cars and guns. Anything that's related to that demographic, obviously you're into that. We're not going to start fucking feeding you with umbrellas and fucking doggy sweaters. You never Googled that shit, so why would you be interested in seeing that?
I think also one thing that he might have there's also a bias for people who get banned. If a conservative person tweets something that they deem as a hate tweet or hate speech,
that I can see them getting in trouble for.
He's saying they're extremely quick to ban, but liberal people, they won't. They give way more leeway and don't ban as much.
You know what?
That's the only thing he's got. But the algorithm thing,
the algorithm I don't agree with.
Think he's got. Yeah.
But the banning of people, I think in my opinion, a conservative right now viewpoint on a very liberal platform is Twitter and Instagram are more, they're more liberal. I do think probably are under higher scrutiny than a liberal statement.
I mean, I'm going to need to, I'll listen, but I'm going to need to see it. I'm going to need to see that proven because, it can't just be anecdotal
didn't Facebook
that he
do that
feels
a couple years
like
back
that's
and actually
happening.
admitted that, yes, that's what we're doing?
Well, but the thing about that, though, too, is that the point I always come back to is that if people are going to these companies like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, for their news, that's problem number one right there. Now, I'm not talking about if you follow, you follow a media outlet, but it's I do this joke in stand up. It's where did you hear about all the anti-vaxxing secret concentration death camps? Well, I saw it on my friend Cindy's timeline, and it is the only place I saw the story, but she always seems to know about everything ahead of everybody else. I mean, it's if that's where you're getting your news, you're kind of that's the biggest part of the problem. It's funny you're talking about that
because I actually had an argument of just think about it logically here real quick. One of my friends, his wife is pregnant, and
congratulations.
I call him a hippie all the time because he's very much of a hippie, and his wife even more so. They're not going to vaccinate their child. And I've tried talking to him a little bit about it, point him in the right direction, my thoughts on the subject and whatnot. And, trying to show him information that I've actually have that like, well, look, I know you think you have this study, but this guy actually got disbarred, and let me show you this. And, that yes, maybe too many at once, but like, as long as it's sensible vaccination, vaccines are good. Obviously, I'm a pro-vaccination type of individual. And he's like, well, the problem is that there's, they're taking all the anti-vax stuff off of, Facebook or YouTube's banning it. I'm all, yeah. And if I started eating Tide Pods or injecting myself with Clorox and trying to tell children at home, hey, this shit will make you lift heavier, they're going to ban that video too because it's harmful. It's provenly a harmful practice that what I'm doing. I don't think anybody in the right mind is going to tell you that me injecting Clorox into my arteries is a good fucking idea. And if I tried to spread that information out, rightfully so, they're going to fucking take that shit down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's so much an infringement on freedom of speech, but an infringement on or just being safety practices. Be like, hey, you might be making a parody and some fucking kid actually believes you, dude. Relax,
The reason I bring up this Nunez story, because my favorite part about it is in his $250 million claim, Frank, he had to list some of the examples. Because what he's also upset about is he's suing for defamation because he feels like Twitter allows people to come on there and defame him. Okay, but he's citing a few parody accounts. One of them, Nunez's money comes from a dairy farm, right? His family owns a dairy farm. And apparently one of the cows on the dairy farm has set up a Twitter account. And
didn't it only have like 10,000 followers? And
now,
because of his actions, he's blown it up.
At Devon Cow had 10,000 followers a couple of days ago before the story started. Now he has 481,000 followers, which, by the way, it's more than Devin Nunes has. So Devin Nunez's cow has surpassed Devin Nunes on Twitter, but the things that are cited in the paperwork of the lawsuit, there has to be examples of the defaming. And one of the things that Devin Nunez's cow tweeted from her Twitter account was that
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Was that Devin Nunes is utterly useless, utterly.
You know what this is the equivalent of, and I would like to give Nunez an example of this. There's times where I get paid, especially after fights, to go into a club. Now, as I'm walking to go to that club, so I can get paid and I'm going to hang out and my friends get to drink for free, I get to walk past the line, obviously, and go to the front. Now, 90% of everybody I walk past either A, doesn't know who the fuck I am, or they're a fan of the sport and positively will, oh shit, hey Frank, man, cool, hey, high five, get a picture, whatever. Now, more often than I would like to admit, there's always the occasional asshole in the very back, somewhere after I've already passed him, where it's happened. I hear the, hey, fuck you, you suck. It happens, right? I don't go back there and go, who the fuck said that right now? Everybody, let's fucking go, I'll whoop your ass. I hear it. And just keep on fucking walking. Who gives a shit? One, I know you're a bitch because you said it way the fuck back there. And two, if I did find you and knocked you the fuck out or choke you unconscious and rearrange your fucking appendages into a pretzel, how famous did I fucking make you? Like, why even give it to you? It's like, look, dude, you're going to die with nobody knowing who the fuck you ever were, and I'm not going to help intervene on that subject.
What if that criticism was coming from one of your teacup Yorkies who set up a Twitter account and was tweeting from
Thankfully,
inside
I have
the home?
two, and I would set up another one for her so that I can have at least opposing views.
I mean, this thing...
I'm sure he has more than one cow.
Yeah.
Get the other ones to start up some Twitter accounts.
This thing, which, by the way, is now incorporating the hashtag the movement, and also
you can't fucking address that. I mean, you as a stand-up comedian know this. This is the equivalent of the heckler that's just not that good.
Yeah.
But because now you engaged him, you gave him a fucking platform.
There's going to be no way to win this. Absolutely.
Ah.
When it becomes apparent that you are you're suing your cow for saying ugly things about you on Twitter, there's going to be no good way to paint this. So yeah, the cow is really enjoying some newfound fame.
And I guess there's a fake one for his mom too.
Yeah, Devin Nunez's mom. She was on there as well on Twitter. Yeah.
But that's like what I've taught my children already. All my kids are jocks, right?
Yeah.
I've been a jock my whole life. You grew up in gyms, right? Locker room talk. You can't have thin fucking skin. If we're in a bunch of guys, we sit there, you know what I mean? Like, and I bust your balls, you bust mine. You just, motherfucker. Oh, shit. All right. That was good, but I'm going to get you back. Like, you have to play the game too and have fun with it. If you sit there and go, what the fuck, man? Why are you always being mean to me? Like, that's fucking blood in the water, dude. You're fucked. Everybody's in a fucking, you might as well, they're lining you up face down. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know, because we were talking about the Trump story just a second ago on the Twitter stuff. It's not like this guy's a shrinking violet who, you know, Trump never says anything disparaging about anybody on Twitter. It's like he will get as personal and as ugly and as nasty as he wants to get, but then when it comes to something like this, he's a victim all of a sudden. And I say Trump because Trump is totally backing Nunez on this. They asked him about this in the press conference the other day. He said, something has to be done. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like you can't be the guy who dishes it out more than anybody else, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're acting like your sensibilities have been offended.
You know what? It really, and viewers at home, I know we're going to get a few people that are going to be, more than a few probably going to be pissed off about this. But I was very down the middle. I mean, there was a while there, I kind of considered myself even more of a libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, there's some democratic views on a social level that I very much agree with. Mostly fiscally, I was always very conservative. I like more of the views on that aspect. But Trump and some of the people that are really just emboldened to hang out with him are starting to lose me big time, where I'm just like, hey, look, I've always been trying to be fair. I'm trying to be that guy that I don't go into the voting thing and go, okay, fucking Republican. And I don't go in there and go straight fucking Democratic. In fact, I've actually registered as an independent because I like to think of myself, and I know that's not the correct definition there, but I think of myself as an independent thinker. It's like, well, tell me what you think about the topic. I'll let you know which side of the fucking aisle I lean on once I have the information. And just because I agree with the Democrats on this topic doesn't mean that I feel like I should go straight down the line. But this confuses topics, I feel. And I feel like when you have the youth coming up and trying to make decisions, like this is very distracting from actual policies. And to have somebody who is of substance to discuss and talk about, you know, conservatism, you can't get past fucking some of the emotional tirades that are occurring around it where it's such a distraction. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, we can't get to like what's important. Let's talk about politics. I almost feel like our political regime is almost more like a circus now. I feel like I'm watching a soap opera half the time.
100%. I'm old school this way, I guess, but I mean, I'm a student of history and I believe in the reverence of the office, you know, even with people I've disagreed with. I mean, listen, I didn't vote for George W. Bush, you know, but I never had a problem seeing him as the president. I never had a problem with the fact that, you know, or Ronald Reagan, for example, you know, okay, well, this is somebody that I politically disagreed with, but they are, they're in the office until they're up for re-election, and I vote for somebody who's running against them.
I remember when Bush, too. Oh,
it never sunk below that. I never looked at it and said, boy, this person is debasing the office. This is beneath the dignity of the office, and that happens so often now. These sort of just these petty, nonsensical things that, and to me, as critical as I am of it, if you supported him, you should be even more outraged. If somebody if somebody you've never met, if they have a party and I bring you, right? I bring you to the party and you are acting like an asshole, I'm more responsible for that than anybody else. I should be more outraged than the host because I vouch for you. Yeah. I'm the person who introduced you into this equation, and so you should hear about it more from me than you do the person who owns a home.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, yeah, right. Doesn't mean you can't, you know, be there telling everybody your opposing views, but, you know, you've got to maintain a level of decorum.
Well, that's the word, decorum. As far, I mean, look, I was born in 1979, so I vaguely remember Reagan a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, it was like a little bit, like I can have pictures in my brain, like, okay, I seen him on TV before obviously watching reruns, you know what I mean? And then, you know, the first Bush, you know, H, you know, and then Bill Clinton, obviously I remember very well, you know, and then George W. And I always remember every president we've had, Obama, regardless of Democrat or Republican, I never felt like it was embarrassing to have him as a president. Even when I remember, as I got older, I can see that they would poke fun at certain presidents because, look, you're the number one celebrity in the world as a U.S. president, right? I think one time George W., he made a blurb on his speech. He was talking and off the cuff, and he goes, you fooled me once, shame on you. Meaning to say, if you fool me twice, shame on me. He got stuck up in his words, and he fucked up. Well, and he said something off.
He said, well, you're just not going to fool me again. Or something.
Right.
Yeah, he said something that was wrong, and people are like, oh, what a fucking idiot. I'm all, really? Have you not? You obviously never spoken in front of a group of people enough times. You're going to say something stupid. That doesn't mean you're stupid. You just mean you made a mental mistake. The equivalent of walking out of the house going, oh, fuck, I didn't bring my keys. Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You knew you needed your keys when you left the house. You've done this thousands of fucking times, but yet you forgot your keys? Moron. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I tell people. Like, dude, relax. It just happened. People were clowning Dana White recently. I was seeing the video of him. He was talking about how many months I think Khabib was going to be out. Have you seen it? Where he sits there and goes, June, July, and he meant to say August. He goes October, September, November. It's like 6 months, and he fucked up. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean he's an idiot. Well, I mean, it just means that, as you're speaking on air, come on, I've had enough airtime. You can go back and hear things I've said. You're like, word doesn't quite fit where Frank Mir just put it. We all fuck up and say shit. You know what I mean? Like, but as far as the outrageous, just emotional statement, especially if you get the fucking tweet something where I'm like, dude, you thought about what you were hitting before you hit send, and it's just embarrassing. And I've never felt embarrassed as much as I feel now that Trump, especially when I travel overseas, everybody fucking laughs at me. Hey, you're an American. Oh, fucking Trump. He's a clown. I'm like,
Think of it this way. How many times in the last 2 years has the president said something that if that was a private conversation between, if that's just something that some private citizen said about your wife or your children, you would say, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
We have a problem. Now, what I'm going to challenge you to do is, prior to that, whether it was Obama, Clinton, Carter, I mean, whatever president you disagreed with, name one thing that they ever said on a personal level that you would have ever said, holy shit, if that person would have said that to my wife or my kids, we'd have had a big problem.
How I tell people this is how you know how outrageous some of the statements that Trump makes on Twitter is I'll be going through some of the photo sites that I like Imager and 9gag and whatnot, and someone will put up a photoshopped tweet of something that Trump said, and it's outrageous.
Google it.
I fucking Google this shit to be like, that sounds like something he would fucking say, so hold on real quick, let me see. And then there's actually been times where I'm like, that ain't real. And then I'll Google it and go, holy fuck, he said that? Wow. Is there nobody that has they just need come on, man. The fucking CIA doesn't have some way to where on his phone it looks like he's sending the shit, but it really goes to their phone and they can fucking re-edit that shit before they send it out and just keep everybody in the bubble with them, you know what I mean? There can't be some way to kind of curtail that shit. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We can blow someone away from halfway across the planet. We can't fucking finagle the president's phone a little bit.
Well, lots to say on that. Won't be obviously the last time it's a topic of conversation, I'm sure. Well, nicely done, Porno Mikey. And shout out to Devin Nunez's cow, who is probably going to be incurring some hefty legal bills. So I don't know what it pays to be a dairy cow out there, but hopefully they'll manage to keep their head above water. All right. Tell everybody how to follow us on social media, Frank.
Facebook, Instagram, at Phone Booth Fighting, Snapchat and Twitter, just Phone Booth Fight. And if you look on my social media lately, I've been talking a lot about Black Belt CBD, some stuff that I've been using, very much help with my inflammation. And I actually just started using Kratom. And actually, when we get off the air, I want to talk to you about it a little bit.
All right, check all that out. And then we didn't even get into this. We teased it. The management company. We got to talk about that next episode.
Truth in Sports.
Let's get into all that next episode. We'll talk about that. All right. For Frank Mir and for Porno Mikey doing a great job producing, we appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you right back here next week on another episode of Phone Booth Fighting.